looking rig, and you can use this for animation, you can use this for anything you so please. We can mirror the actions, just select any bone, copy and pose it. Really awesome. Hello and welcome to this Blender tutorial brought to you by Luwizart. My name is Emmanuel Okafo, and today I'll be showing you guys how to create a decent looking rig which you could use to pose your characters and also using your animation if you so please. So we'll be focusing on this on character mainly in this tutorial. So we'll not be using any script or add-on or anything. We'll just be doing it with the good old Blender. So in the comment, most people have been asking me what Blender I'm using. For some of you, it's obvious, but I'm using the Blender 2.8. And if you've not updated, you need to do that because you don't want to be late to the party. So I will try to leave a link in this description for you guys to be able to download it. And also the model we'll be using for this tutorial, I'll also leave a link in the description. Yeah, so let's start up. So this is what we'll be trying to end up with, but we'll not be using this model especially because it's going to take time to do all of this, but this is the model we're working with, which I will leave in the description for you guys to download. But mainly we'll be trying to end up with a rig that works like this with cool custom controls, and it doesn't take time to set it up. It's like really fast, so you should not worry that you are not really specialized in this field. Anyone can do it, and I'm going to try to make it easy for you to understand. So the rig it has a cool IK, and we'll also deal with weight painting. Um, a good area where I will show this is around the neck area. So I will show you guys how to properly weight paint the neck. And yeah, so it's a very good rig for posing your characters, and you can just even use for basic animation as I said earlier. So let me stop repeating myself and let's just start up. So this is the object we'll be using, and let's just scale it up a bit. So the way I go about creating my rigs quickly is just, and you can also look at this bottom here in case you want to follow up with the shortcut, in case you're not familiar with it. So in Blender, for us to rig a character, we use something called the armature, which you could add with the shortcut Shift A and armature single bone. So you want to place it roughly around this character. So now you need some visual aid to be able to see this bone. So the first one you want to enable, if you go to this object mode, you want to select in front. So what this does, it puts the bone so you can see through the objects and see your bone. Next, you want to set it to wire. So this is going to be helpful when it comes to creating custom shapes. And for now, nothing is showing. That's because you need to switch it to, you have to select the bone, and you have to be in either edit mode or pose mode. Then you have this feature called transparent bone. So I enabled it by default because I already was working in the scene. So if you have it not enabled, you will not have the transparent bone. Okay, so my setup for creating bone is just basically I line it around here. Okay, so if you're, this is a certain area, so the torso around this area, and from here you get the waist, and then this is the leg area. So that's how you rig it. So most of the times you may think you want to start rigging the root bone from here, but no, it's around here. So I will just place it in this direction. Just clear out the annotation. So I will just place it around this direction. Then I will subdivide the bone several times and then manually align it. So the biggest bone here is going to be around the chest because the chest area has really restricted movement. So it's a big bone. On this side, I'm creating like 3 bones. Mostly I don't create more bones because I'm just posing the characters. So I don't need to create so many controller bones. Okay, so the next bone we'll create is the neck bone. So we'll just extrude this. Okay, so most of these things you try the first time, it doesn't work. You just need to keep experimenting. So experimenting till you get it perfectly. So you then put this is the head bone, and this is just basically the setup. Okay, so the next bone we want to extrude is the pelvic bone. That's this one. So it goes like this. It's going to control the hip movement. Yeah. So for this, for the next bone we're going to add is going to be like the shoulder bone and the hands and also the finger. So it's going to be like really difficult to eyeball this placing this bone inside your object. So the best way I recommend doing it is using Blender snapping feature. So if you're not familiar with this, it's just basically a system that allows Blender to detect some certain areas in your model. So this time we wanted to detect volumes of object so that, for example, I want to place this bone right in the middle of this object. So if I go to the snapping and select volume, okay, and then enable this magnet icon here. So now if I extrude, it's going to automatically place the bone inside the middle of the object. So it comes really handy when rigging, so you are more accurate and precise. Okay, so it makes it easier for me to place the bone anywhere. Okay, so then I extrude this high credit finger, then subdivide that again, subdivide. So you just be following the joint. You could have some cool reference to be more precise when rigging. So I will subdivide it once more and place it around here. So with the snapping enabled, it makes it easier for me to just click and drag, and I'm sure it's going to like place it in the right position. So this doesn't take when I'm just creating a rig to pose my character, it doesn't take me more than 30 minutes. I've set up something nice because I find it really complicated using like the Rigify because it's a very complicated system. And if I just need to post something, I don't want to have to deal with all those hassles. Okay, so now for the leg, to create a good leg that works, for example, when you want the character to sit, this way you do it. So you just extrude this bone here, also extending the pelvis bone. Then this is the area you start extruding for the leg around this area. So it doesn't start here; it starts here. Okay. So if you've noticed, if you're sorry, okay, the car just passed. So if you're having hard time like animating your character anytime you rig the bone, that's because you're not placing it in the right position. So let's just delete this annotation too. So we'll just extrude this around here and just place it. So as you know, as I told you, it's automatically been placed in the center of the object, so we don't need to worry about that. So we'll just extrude this. I'm not going to rig the toes. I'll just leave it like this. So that's just basically the default setup for me. So don't worry about mirroring it to the other side. I will show you guys how to do that very easy. So this is free time. Like it's really fast to set this up. It will not waste any of your time, and you get decent controls for this character. So I will just place it, just eyeballing to make sure it's at the right position of the wrist. So when I'm happy with everything, I will select all and press Shift N and recalculate row. So if you're not familiar what recalculate row is, or when it comes to rigging characters, this is like really important to have better rotation and better deformation. So if you have this wrong, it's gonna fuck up your sorry for language, but it's gonna mess up your whole system, the whole animation. So you have to be aware of this recalculation rule. So Blender have this by in some software like Maya to get like a very decent one. You have to like get external plugins, but Blender gives you this by default. So if you press Shift N, um, and you must be in edit mode, you press Shift N. Usually just go with global Y axis because if you're familiar with the reorientation of 3D, Blender is actually doing it a bit weird, where Z is up, but in reality, it's Y is the up axis. So that's that. So that's why I usually just do Shift N and positive Y axis. So once you make an edit to your bone, you need to go back and recalculate the row to make sure everything stays consistent. So this if I you can also press Ctrl R to rotate, do the same functionality manually. So let's say we recalculate it and it's looking all weird, we can just press Shift N and snaps it more in a more precise view. So let me show you better the better good a better use for this. So if I select this bone and switch to the rotation and rotate this, so you can see the orientation is all messed up. But if I switch it to local view or normal, so you can see it's following it anywhere it goes. So it's going to be like more accurate. Okay. So when you're posing, it's going to be super easy for you to pose your character once you have the rotation row more accurate. So I know I'm stressing on this because it's really important. Okay. So let's just save. So we're done with just the basic deformer bones. So now let's add controller bones. So controller bones are going to help us add more features to the bone, like adding cool constraints that can automatically create some nice effect for us. So the first controller bone I usually create is this IK bone. So let's turn off this snapping feature because we don't need that again. So we'll just extrude this bone around the wrist side and Alt P to clear parent. So this bone is going to control the IK. If you don't know what IK it is, just basically inverse kinematics. So it means forward kinematics is like if you want to animate this bone. I don't know if I'm showing myself. If you want to animate this bone moving this way, you have to move the top bone, then have to move this one. But if you have IK, you just get that automatically. You can just hold one bone and drag it around. I don't know if I explained, but you will see after I set it up. Okay, so the next bone we want to set up is the vector pole bone. So this bone, I usually just call it my elbow bone. So once you move the IK bone, you can also have a controller bone to be able to like use to align the elbow side. So it's really important. Um, okay, so let's do that. We also need to Alt P to clear the parent of that because we don't. Once you're creating controller bones, you need to be aware that if it's in the wrong hierarchy, like if it has the wrong parent, it's going to act funny. So you have to make sure you clear all the parents so you can reset that up later. Okay, so that's just the two bone because this rig is going to be like simple, really simple rig. So let's do the same thing for the leg. We extrude this and Alt P, clear parent, and extrude for the neo part and Alt P, clear parent. So we'll just pull this out and yeah. So the next thing you want to do is go into this bone and uncheck the formats for the control bones. So if you leave this on, when you apply your automatic weight paint, Blender is going to think that bone is also going to deform the object. So it's on checking that, it's going to tell Blender that, dude, don't include this bone in the whole calculation. It's just there to make the other bone look good. So that's just basically that. So now let's set up the constraint. So if you select the control IK hand bone, and you can go into the constraint tab and set everything up, but it's really tedious to do that. The better way to do that is select this constraint bone, shift select the top lower arm bone, okay, and press Shift I. Okay, it's going to automatically add an inverse kinematics on that bone. So it's like a very cool shortcut that save rigging saves you so many time so many time in rigging. Blah. Okay, so if you notice, I just click on the chain length. So right now, if it's set to 0 and I select this and just move this, you can see you get this cool wobbly effect, which is cool. And you can animate or add drivers to control this to get any kind of cool effect you want. But what we just want this movement to just affect this bone and this one. Okay, so I'll just set it to 2 bones. So it's going to just affect these two bones. Okay, so we don't need to worry about it affecting the shoulder bone and also the chest bone. So let's do the same thing for the elbow bone, shift I. And now we are going to set it to 1 because we just want it to affect this top bone, which is the main controller of the elbow bone. So now if we move this, you can see we are controlling the elbow bone. Okay, so for this next part, I want to show you guys it can come a bit complicated. That's why you guys have to really pay attention right now. So if you notice, if I move this elbow bone, this hand, this side is moving in a way where it's going to be like really funny when animating or posing your character. So you want that position to always remain still. Okay, so let's set that up. The way to do that is you select this bone and go to the bone, and under relations you want to uncheck rotation. Okay, so now when we move this bone, that bone is going to stay static, so you don't need to worry about it. But then you will now say, what about if I scale this bone? Oh, sorry, if I scale this bone, we're getting a weird, not really. If I rotate this bone, then this bone is not rotating. Okay, so to include that in the rotation, and we also want it to, like, we just want to have one bone, and when we rotate this bone, it also rotates the hands and it also moves it around. So to do that, we select it and shift select this hand bone and press Ctrl Shift C. So this shortcut is going to bring out your constraint and it's going to automatically set up everything you need for your rig to look good. So we're going to set it to child of. So if you go to the constraint tab and click on this red one inside, it's going to have created a child relationship with the hand bone. So now if we rotate this, it's going to rotate it. So we can even hide this bone and just work with just one bone to get any cool effect we want. Okay, it's really cool. Okay, so that's basically that. And let's go in and just recalculate the roll again to make sure we are all good. Okay. So we're not going to do any cool advanced stuff with the fingers because there are so many things I can set up for the fingers that'll make it look really good. Maybe I'll just make it a separate tutorial. But we'll just leave that for now. We'll just deal with just the wrist. So that's all for the hand. So let's do exactly the same thing for the leg. So select this and press Shift I. 1, 2. So you know the reason why we're doing the 2 chains. So let's select this and to active, and for the chain length, want to set it to just 1. And let's also disable the inherit rotation and select this and press Ctrl Shift C, as you can see in the bottoms left. And so if we move this, we can move it and we can rotate it. Okay, and then we can also move the knee anywhere we want. So that's just basically the whole setup. So now we don't have any universal control. Before we do that, let's connect this pelvis bone because right now it doesn't have any parent. So we're going to parent it to this bone right here. Sorry, this is the hip bone, but we're going to connect it to the pelvis bone. So we'll press Ctrl P, keep offset. We don't want it to be connected because it's going to disorientate the whole position of the bones. So now if we rotate this bone, it's gonna do like this. It can move with everything. Okay, and we can also individually rotate this one. So right now it's loose, so let's fix that by just locking the whole location. So now we don't have to worry about it. Oh, sorry, we don't have to worry about it moving or anything. Okay, so now let's just create a quick parent, a universal control bone for this rig. So we'll be using this small bone here, and let's select this, and this, and this. So we're selecting all the controller bones and parenting it to those universal bones. So if we move it, so as you can see, it's moving. So, and next, we want to select this pelvic bone. I don't even know what to call it. Maybe hip bone. You guys will correct me in the comment. So I will just place this, parent this to the universal control. So when I move it, you can see everything is moving. Cool. So now let's mirror the whole stuff we have done in the left side, so we don't have to multitask ourselves. So we just use the box select by pressing B and just make sure we selected everything we need. Then go to object mode. So we already have our cursor to center. So in case you have your cursor somewhere, sorry, in case you have your cursor somewhere weird, we can just press Shift S, cursor to selected. So it's gonna push this cursor to the object. And yeah, so let's go back to edit mode. So we still have our selection. And if we press the dot key or the I don't know, what you like, period key, and set the rotation point to the 3D cursor, and let's just set the orientation to the global. Now if we press Shift D, so we have a duplicate of it, then rotate scale X -1. So I just hit rotate scale X -1, and now we have a duplicate that's aligning perfectly. So now we can just press Shift N and Y axis. Now let's just parent this, Control P. The only option we have is to connect it, and we'll do that for this one also. Just connect it. So now everything we did in the other side has been flipped to the side. Okay, so you may say, what about the naming? So most of the times I name it if it's like a professional project, but if I'm just creating a rig to pose my characters, most of the times I just neglect that. But I just name some specific part because it's really handy. For example, I always name the shoulder part, the hand, and the leg. So I will tell you why I do that. So let's say I set this back to median point. So let's say I rotate this bone and I want to copy this exact rotation to the other side. So let's just name it shoulder underscore L. So if you want Blender to detect that this is the right and the left, so you have to always put, after any name, just put underscore L or right. L, which stands for left, and R, which stands for right. Okay, so I'll just copy that, select this one, and just paste it, but I'll delete the L and just put R. Okay, so if I press Ctrl C to copy pose and hold Ctrl Shift C, sorry, Ctrl Shift V, so it's going to just automatically paste any pose I have in the left to the right. So this can come really handy for posing. So I can do it also for the hand. I'll just call this hand IK underscore left, copy that and paste it and just call it right. And now if I move this, I can press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So it's cool, as you can see. So we can also do that for the leg. Call this leg underscore L, copy that, paste it, set it to R. So now if I move this leg, I can copy that and flip the pose. So if I want to get like inverse of everything, I can do that. I can select this bone and press Shift N. So instead of positive Y, I can set it to negative Y. So if I do this and copy pose, it's still working, but most of the times it gets the inverse. So let me just set it all back to the positive Y axis. So that's basically it. We have just created the rig, so it didn't take so much time. It took longer because I had to explain some stuff, but usually by now I'm already done. So just 30 minutes you can set this up with practice. Okay, so yeah, so now let's just bind the character to the bone and let's check everything is good. So before that, let's just set this also, uncheck the deform for the universal control bone. Cool. So to bind your character with your armature, the way you do that, you just select the character and shift select the armature and press Ctrl P. So you have these cool options. You could use with empty groups. You could also use with envelope weight. I don't know what that is. I've never tried that. but the one you want to use is the automatic weight. So once you do that, it'll take a while depending how dense your geometry is. So once you do that, now we have it. We can switch to the pose mode by pressing Ctrl Tab, or you can select it and object mode, pose mode. Okay. So now we can just rotate this, and everything is. Blender does a really good job, like when it comes to automatically weight painting, setting up the weights for your object. So we can copy, and so we can just do it in one side and automatically copies to the other side. Okay, so now let's just quickly go into the weight painting. So the one the for most part is really awesome. The weight painting job is awesome. So as I was saying earlier, I'm just flying around right now. But I told you guys earlier that it's always good to recalculate your roles. For example, if I set it to normal and switch to my rotation, so now I can easily. I think I'll just leave it in global. Let's use this one. Okay, so as you can see, the rotation is really aligned, so I can easily rotate it. If I set it to individual origin, I can just rotate this. It's not rotating. Why is that? Normal. Okay, I think I have to select it. To just select normal. Okay, to be able to rotate. Why is it not rotating? Boy. Anyway, I don't know. Probably I've pressed something I don't know. But that should not be. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay, that's because I don't know. Like the new UI makes it possible for you to just select two options without even knowing that. I don't know. Okay, so I just unchecked something I selected. So you want to set it to just individual origin. That's because I will just rotate this, and it's just gonna rotate automatically and create this kind of roll effect. So it's easier if you have every calculation, all the calculation more accurate. Okay, so let's just do that. So as I was saying before, I just went cuckoo. I was trying to show you guys weight painting, especially in Blender 2.8, because they had a way initially, but now they have changed it. So I'll show you guys how to set this up. So we'll be using the neck area because most times it doesn't do a good job actually creating a good weight paint. That's why you get this stuff. It may look good for you, but it's a really bad job. So let's fix that. So to go to weight paint, to have the access to weight paint your object, you have to select the bone first and shift select the object. So the bone can be in object mode, and you shift select the object and go to weight paint. So now you have the ability, like you did in Blender 2.79, to just select the bone and fix that area. Cool. So let's do that. So fixing the head area, we'll just select the drop brush. I think I switched it to subtract. So you can just pull this down or go to the tools to access everything. So let's use the add brush at 100, which is okay. We'll just do this. Make sure I cover the whole area. Then I mostly just use the blur brush and just make everything more mild. Okay, so for the important part is the neck bone. So as you can see, its weight is really extending to the head, so you don't want that. So let's switch to draw and select subtract and just clean that off. So you don't want to have, excuse me. So you don't want it to have influence on the head bone. So okay, so after that, then you want to create a nice transition with the blur brush. Okay, So as if I go back to object mode, you will see we have a better stuff going on with the neck. Okay, so that's just basically how to just quickly fix the neck. For the most part, it does a really good job. This may need some work, but it's okay. Okay, so that's that. So now for the next part, let me show you guys how you can create custom shapes inside Blender. So we do that using geometry. So let's add for the head. Let's create something cool. I think I'll use a curve to design it. Then I'll convert it to an object. I will select this and pull this down. Have this kind of shape. Level and medium point. Okay, so I want to have something like this. Cool. So I will convert this curve to a mesh. So all this is just ceremony. You can just create any mesh you want to do to like indicate a certain area. So I'm setting it to that, and I will select the bone and go into the either pose to the pose mode where I can individually select the bone and go into this bone icon here, and you will see display custom bone, and you also see height and wire. So as I told you guys in the beginning of this tutorial that I checked the wire because of it's not going to show, but it's going to come handy when I have custom shapes. So we don't need to check this. We don't need to check this height. We just need to select the custom shape which we have created. So this way it comes funny because it's not going to automatically look nice. So you have to just manually do it. So to do manually, you have to go to the object mode and just try to rotate it in some axis to make sure it just matches right. So now we've just created a nice bone for the neck, head. So you can also move the location. Let's move it Y and rotate X 90 degrees or X. So most of the rotation is not really crazy, it's just something like this. So we have this cool looking controller bone. So if I turn off this in front, it will look even more color. So let's just do one for the hand and call it a day. And let's just add a circle inside edit mode. We duplicate it, rotate Y 90 degrees, shift D, rotate Z 90 degrees. So we'll have this kind of cool stuff. So I usually do this, set this up for my character hand. So as we did before, we just select this and bone mode and just pull this. So as you can see, it's going to just automatically, this one usually works well because it doesn't have like a really defined front or back position. So let's say I want to use the same shape for most of the bones, which I normally do. So I would just select this one, shift select this one, select this one, shift select this one, select this one, shift select this one, select this one. Ah boy. So I'm going to just select this last one, then shift select this bone which I love and press Ctrl C. Then you will find copy shape. So it's going to just automatically copy the shape. So you're going to say it looks so big, and if I scale this, it's going to mess up most of the design which I want. Okay, so the way I do that, you can just either do this. It's going to automatically make it smaller. Okay, do that for this one too. So for the leg, you also have the feature inside the custom bone to actually increase or decrease the size. I'll set this to just one because it's perfect as it is. And let's just do one more, which is the universal control board. It's just gonna be a circle. Just apply the rotation scale, select the bone, and rotate this X 90 degrees, scale it down. So we're getting a weird rotation. I can either fix this by rotating the bone or fix it by using the geometry. So let's do the geometry way. So I'll just rotate this. Eyeballing it to make sure it just looks nice. I think I'll move it Y. So as I was saying, Y is the more precise way of working in 3D, but Blender uses a different method. So where this really shows is when you're working with amateurs, but in most parts of Blender it's okay. So yeah, so that's it. As you can see, I've created a really nice looking bone, looking rig, and you can use this for animation. You can use this for anything you so please. We can mirror the actions. Just select any bone, copy and pose it. Really awesome. Okay, so that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys, all the new guys that subscribe to this channel. I appreciate that. I'm trying to grow this big, and all this kind of stuff encourage me. So thank you guys, and I'll keep posting some really helpful stuff to you guys. You can also leave suggestions of tutorials which you want to see, and you can ask me questions. I reply like with lightning speed. So thank you guys again, guys, for watching this tutorial. I appreciate it. Bye bye for now. See you next time.